That's a good question. Can you repeat that?
What advice would you give someone who's in a relationship that would not be ideal for them or good for them, and they should just learn how to walk away?
Is this something that you're going through at the moment?
Yeah, you could say,
Well, not on camera, so nobody really
you could
knows.
say yeah, but at the same time, it's been kind of already, I've already been past that. But how would you deal with that within yourself
After you've walked away,
after you've walked away,
is that what you're...
or learning how to accept and walk away?
I think that we all deal with attachment issues. And I generally do think that those attachments issues that we deal with, it has to do with our upbringings and, our parents. Like, no parent is perfect. Most households, they are dysfunctional, because I do feel that people don't take the time to get to know who they are. You know what I mean? We live in a world, in a society where a lot of people are just, getting themselves involved with sexual intercourse just for the sake of pleasure. Some people do go for it for the purpose of having a child. But I do think that having a child, it's a bit more technical than I'm going to get there. It's a bit more technical than just feeding them and giving them clothes. Do you know what I mean? And when it comes down to psychological upbringing, I think that's the root of a lot of things. And I do think that because of the attachment style of each individual, obviously it depends on how you approach the situation. However, I do think that it's important that we recognize that some people come into our lives with a specific amount, a journey.
Yeah.
Every single day you wake up in the morning and with your partner, whoever you choose to be with, and you're consciously choosing to be with that person. You're not, in prison to forcibly be with anyone.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You have options.
Yeah.
And so if you know that somebody is triggering your nervous system, if you know that somebody isn't amplifying your path, and it's not lighting them, and because they themselves they need to work on themselves as well. Do you know what I mean? Just as much as you do. So, and if you are in a healthy environment, in the long run, if you don't leave and if you don't force yourself to leave, it will have long-term effects, and you get harder and harder and harder. And a lot of times when we do leave, we tend to go back because we go back to something that is familiar to us.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean? Because,
it's a cycle.
It's a cycle. And here's the thing though, like a lot of people also do get into relationships that reminds them of what their parents have done to them. So it's like a trauma response type of thing. So a lot of them don't actually know what
is to be like on their own and like doing their own type of like relationship.
Exactly. Like I feel like a lot of people don't actually understand or relax enough to live in a very comfortable relationship where there is no triggering, where there is no arguments. Like I think that if something, I'm not gonna say, a little bit of argument is healthy. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of discussion, a little bit of debate and disagreement is kind of healthy because it's perspective that you're sharing.
You guys are sharing your guys' point of views, how you feel about the topic and how it makes you feel.
Exactly.
Between each other, not just about what's going on around them, but just between how you guys both feel about it.
Exactly. And so, but I think that a lot of times it's how you go about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And how you go about expressing that. And a lot of times it has to do again with what you have seen and how, in your past and what is already installed in your system. Does that make sense? And even if you don't fully understand in the beginning of your choice, I think that over time, I think that when something is triggering you and it's a trigger for your nervous system, I think that you don't even have to understand it fully. You just know that this is not something that I vision my life to be like. Do you know what I mean? This is not it. And your intuition knows that. Your intuition knows that it's not it. And I think that a lot of people do end up being in unhappy relationships because they do end up going against their intuition. I truly do think that people they like being distracted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I do think that in relationships, there is a lot of distraction.
Yeah, there
You know what I mean? And I think that distraction, what it does is prevent you from getting deep down into those wounds of yours. Do you know what I mean? Because it's painful. It's painful to accept, oh my goodness, I went through all of this. It's painful to look at all of your experiences and be like, damn, how do I heal from this? How do I heal? It's work. And I think that instead of doing the work, people rather be distracted by relationships and by whatever happens in that relationship, and then they get frustrated, and then the wounds get deeper and deeper and deeper, and so the cycle goes on and on and on and on.
And you're never gonna heal because you're constantly distracting yourself, you know?
And that's what people enjoy most.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to focus on who you are, and it's hard to focus on in your own path.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because again, people will think to themselves, what if I lose if I focus in my path?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's that part as well.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you're thinking that way, you're actually losing yourself, you know?
You're already losing, in fact. If you're in a position or situation, a situationship, whatever it is, or in experience that isn't in agreement with who you are internally, you're already losing.
Yeah.
So you might as well just lose taking a risk than to lose in comfortability.
Exactly.
Being vulnerable is making peace with your own existence.
Exactly.
That's what being vulnerable is. But I think that people, again, attach themselves into their experiences so profoundly that they make their experiences a part of who they are. And all it was, it's just an experience.
Yeah, it's just a moment, bro.
It's just a moment.
You just gotta keep going and make more.
That's it.
You know?
And through those moments is how you will evolve.
Yeah, and grow.
Through those moments is how you will grow. Exactly that.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Thank you.
It's nice meeting you, dude.
You too, man.
What's your name?
Fabio.
Fabio Irving. Nice to meet you, Fabio.
Nice to meet you too.